We're pleased to be with Mayor Don Darling of St. John here with us on New Canadians. So Don, let's talk about your passion to preach the message that St. John is actually a wonderful home for not just newcomers but for Canadians across the country.
Well, look, we've got so much rich history in St. John. So St. John is Canada's first incorporated city. 234 years of rich history. We've been welcoming people from all over the world for hundreds of years, and I believe, are Canada's best small city. We have oceans and rivers and parks and incredibly friendly and generous people, and our culture our community is becoming far more diverse and culturally rich, and we're in a real growth mode here in St. John. So we've got so much to celebrate, and quality of life that I think many newcomers and St. Johners from not only across the country but all over the world are telling me they are living a quality of life here in our city that they just didn't enjoy in their homeland. So we've got great times ahead of us.
Well, let's bring up the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Project, because it has been credited to actually giving St. John, New Brunswick as a whole, actually an uptick in population. So what sorts of moves is the government, municipal, provincial, both, doing to make sure that you can retain the people who are moving here?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. I think that we have seen some success. We believe we've turned around the decline of population. That's been one of the big challenges we faced in St. John, is that we are a big city. In terms of geography, we're 320 square kilometers with only 67,000 people living within the city proper. So we believe we've grown by about 1,500 people in the last couple of years. That's a positive trend for us to be growing. So I think the first thing we did is we started by ensuring we had a population growth strategy the first time in the city's history, and that's an action-oriented document. We've now been working very closely with the provincial and federal governments as well, and our goal is to be the most welcoming community in all of Canada. And so it's not only welcoming newcomers to St. John, but working very, very carefully and strategically on retaining. That is critical, is that we retain newcomers to our community. So we're just launching a program here in the next week where we're going to be surveying newcomers and working with newcomers in our community to make sure we're talking and engaging with them directly to understand what's working, but more importantly as well, what's not working and what do we need to enhance so that we can ensure newcomers are feeling a part of their community and that they have housing security, employment security. All of those key pieces of the puzzle are working. So we're engaging, and our ears are open to make sure that we have the right programs in place to make sure we're successful.
Great. Well, events like Culture Fest here in St. John shows that patterns of resistance in the past are shifting. Right. So what do you like to see here in the community, action-wise, from businesses, for example, with jobs, to allow support to happen for newcomers?
Yeah, I think it's an important message to get across to your viewers that in New Brunswick there are over 3,500 open jobs right now. In St. John or Greater St. John, there are over 1,000 jobs. We have major employers like J.D. Irving, for example, in St. John, that have said over the next 5 years they're going to need to hire 10,000 people. Okay, so that's a real shift. That has not always been the way in New Brunswick or in St. John. So we have jobs, we have affordability, we have beauty, we have, as I said earlier, oceans, parks, rivers, and we have an incredibly friendly community. So as a leader, as a mayor, I think it's incredibly important that we match our actions with our words. So when we say we're welcoming, when we say we celebrate diversity, that we celebrate rich cultural diversity, that as leaders we also match actions with words, so that if there's something were to happen in a community where sometimes we see folks that are less tolerant, or they're not being as open and welcoming as they need to be, my philosophy is that as a leader, it is important to act very, very quickly and swiftly. So when political parties come to town and they say things like they're not anti-immigrant, they're pro-Canadian, I go to those rallies and I say, what does that mean? So my Canada, my St. John is a rich community that is culturally diverse. and we celebrate. It's not about assimilation. It's about actually embracing the richness of culture. So Culture Fest is a celebration. Culture Fest is to make sure New Brunswickers, St. Johners, Canadians, and the world understand that Canada's oldest city is becoming one of Canada's most diverse cities, and we're celebrating that. And over the next 15 to 20 years, we need to encourage 120,000 new people to move to New Brunswick, and my belief is that our share of that is between 20 and 30,000. So we have a lot of work to do, and I'm excited about the future and about the possibilities that this type of population growth and diversity is going to bring to our region.
An absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
My pleasure as well. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay.